Yeah, rather bloodthirsty biblical scene depicted in that painting, and certainly no love lost, at least in Brazil, among political rivals right now. We're going to be taking a closer look at how the story of Dilma Rousseff's potential impeachment is being seen online in another video with James Creighton.
Hi, Catherine.
Yes, a leaked speech is one of the more intriguing items of evidence that you're presenting before us today.
That's right. I'm sure Brazilians are just gobsmacked by the political shenanigans that are developing in front of their eyes at the moment. These two are, they're supposedly in a coalition government. That's Dilma Rousseff in the foreground, but there are now impeachment proceedings against her. The parliament is going to vote. In the background, you have the vice president, Michel Temer, who was practicing his speech for being sworn in as president should she be impeached. And it leaked. Apparently, he hit the wrong button on his smartphone device or whatever, and then it was all over the internet. So some people are saying, But the thing is, it doesn't really depict him in all that positive a light either, because it's like practicing in front of the mirror with your hairbrush.
And for your Oscar ceremony kind of thing.
It looks a little bit silly. So is he being conniving, or is he just being a little bit awkward? In either case, it doesn't really flatter him, but some say it's an attempt to show that he's already ready to take over the reins of power.
Exactly.
Lots of criticism of him across Brazilian media. I won't go into all of the details, but just let's take a look at Twitter, what Twitter is saying about this bizarre leak. Temer leak looks deliberate from this person's perspective. Which Brazilian politician prepares a speech or anything a whole week in advance? Hashtag House of Cards.
And also
perhaps a bit unfair.
You could do on the hoof, couldn't you? Acceptance speech. Thank you. I accept to be president.
That's right. Or you would imagine you'd have some minions to write it for you.
It writes itself, I'm sure.
Forget House of Cards. Brazil's political scene is starting to resemble The Walking Dead. And indeed, I think a lot of Brazilians are weary of this scene developing in front of them. Soon there will be a leak of Temer's Pinterest board. People, I think, would make good ministers. In any case, it is a little bit demoralising, I think, for many people in the Brazilian public who just would like to have a body politic that is A, not overly corrupt, and B, just, functional. In any case, to make it all completely ridiculous, Michel Temer is also potentially going to face impeachment proceedings himself.
It's all the rage.
It is.
Everyone's
so there you go. Meanwhile, Brazilians weep.
Indeed. All right. So from politics in Brazil to politics here in France, a lot of people chatting politics. They've been doing so for 12 nights straight at Place de la République. We talked about this quite a lot yesterday. The up all night protests,
That's right.
they're calling it. Started here in France. It's spread in all sorts of places around the world, and it seems to be continuing on.
That's right. And there they are again for the nth General Assembly at Place de la République. And the Global Revolution TV tweeting these elements: conversations on direct democracy and organisation. They're, I suppose, trying to filter through the massive amounts of topics that are being discussed to create some sort of coherency, because it is a movement that lacks leadership and perhaps a clear vision for now, apart from being just very disillusioned with the body politic generally. Now, one thing that is kind of interesting is a film that has become a sort of a rallying cry for many of the protesters called Merci Patron, or Thanks Boss. It has made it onto the front page of the New York Times. There have been public screenings of this film on Place de la République, also in Lyon and in other cities, which is quite unusual when it is still a film that is in movie theatres, but it is a film that shows, I suppose, regular people who have been fired, basically, or they've lost their jobs because of this. It's a film that depicts workers who used to be part of the Louis Vuitton enterprise, but since jobs were delocalized to Eastern Europe, they ended up jobless. In any case, it's a sort of an anti-establishment, anti-capitalist film, showing in sort of Michael Moore style people taking or making an attempt to face up to big bosses and I suppose moving jobs elsewhere. In any case, a portrayal of that on the front page of the New York Times today.
All right, politics and protests is a staple of French life. This next item, kind of a staple of Parisian life, at least. People not wanting to pick up after their dogs. It's a problem in my street, I can tell you.
It's
little
a problem
signs
in
everywhere.
French cities generally, and there's an article today in The Guardian focusing in particular on the city of Montpellier in the south of France. Now, one journalist, Phil Hode, was embedded with the motocrotte crew. Now that, do you want to see what a motocrotte is? Because
don't know if I do.
there used to be a fleet of them in Paris, 70 of them, but then they were deemed too expensive. I think the image speaks for itself.
High-tech
there.
pooper scoopers.
That's exactly what it is.
Gosh.
In any case, there used to be a whole team of them in Paris, and not surprisingly, they're not there anymore because maybe we've
That
seen
is
enough.
really gross on the big screen.
Maybe we've seen enough of that. In any case, this article looks into why the French just aren't really complying. And one answer is maybe they're a little bit too mollycoddled. They expect the state to do everything for them. They say, I pay my taxes, so you should pick up our dog poo. That is the view of one person whose job it is to do it in Montpellier.
I know the reason. It's because there are no dog bins. There just aren't any.
Aren't enough in any case. Apparently there are some in Montpellier, but there need to be some more.
All right.
And
Kat Nicholson for Mayor of Paris, and I'll get some dog bins set up. Thank you very much, James Creedon.